Tree Talking Time is brought to you by Conkey's Outdoors. Get all your hound hunting needs at conkeys.com. Welcome to Tree Talking Time, where we talk all things tree dogs, from the smallest feists to the largest hounds, treating squirrels to bears and everything in between. And from time to time, we might even run a little fast game. Need reliable housing for your animals? Animal Housing Solutions in Mayo, Florida builds custom coops, kennels, and shelters that are strong, durable, and designed with your animal's comfort in mind. Whether you need a large-scale kennel or a small custom chicken coop, they've got you covered. Quality craftsmanship, great service, and solutions built to last. That's the Animal Housing Solution promise. Check them out at Animal Housing Solutions on Facebook. Animal Housing Solutions, where your animals come first.
When I was, I think I was 17, and it was 4th of July. I had an old bird dog I'd had for years. Her name was Ladybird. We named her off that show King of the Hill, because when we bought her episode with that dog jumping on there barking, and she barked at the TV every time we come on, so we named it Ladybird. And that little dog went through my childhood and things with me, and into my teen years and things, and she was a wild one, and she had gotten shot in the past, and became she got shot twice actually. And she became pretty gun shy, to say the least, and terrified of thunder. And it's 4th of July one year, and she was with my grandfather, and he had the screen door open, and fireworks went crazy, and she went straight through the middle of the screen door and ran off. And so I looked for her for months, printed hundreds of flyers, everything, looked at every piece of roadkill and everything you could imagine, called everyone who was anyone, and at that time it was a little different than it is now. The town, they would just write. It's like a forum almost back then, and it just say an incoming new dog was, so and so. Well, they had a German Shorthair Pointer come in, and so I went to go look at it to see if it was the same dog I'd been looking for 2 months, and got there and walked through, and I hadn't seen the German Shepherd yet, but I walked past this. It's long glass windows with a series of kennels in them, and each dog kennel can't see the other kennel, but they can see out the windows, and walked there, and there's all sorts of dogs in there and stuff. And there's one dog laying down. There's a brindle dog that's laying down, and it turned, looked at me, and jumped up and jumped against glass, and just happy dog, tail flying, screaming its head off, freaking out. And there was people standing in front of it when I passed by, and I didn't think much of it. And so I walked around, and it's like a 90-degree corner, goes down for a few more days there, and I found that German short hair. It wasn't the dog I was looking for, so I turned around, and I was coming back out, and I'd heard that dog through the glass and stuff, and I heard it quiet down after I go around the corner, and then I come back around the corner again and look in there, and here she's seen me again, and she comes flying up against the glass and jumping and just losing her mind, so excited. And one of the workers was walking by, and she goes, "Sir, do you know that dog?" I said, "No, I don't." She goes, "Well, she doesn't ever do this. I think you should see that dog." I said, "No, I'm going to get out of here." And I was looking for a different dog. And she goes, "No, I seriously think you should see it. She's been in here for months, and she does not do that." So I said, "All right, whatever." And they put you in a little room, bench all the way around it, and they go get the dog. And you could see the dog acting just normal dog with that lady. And the minute she opened the door and that dog seen me, it just went postal. And jumping all over me, licking all over me, spinning circles around me, running behind my back on the bench. I mean, just absolutely freaking out. And this is a 65-pound dog, too, so it's not like a little dog, and beating the tar out of us in there, and just as excited as can be. And I was stuck right then. I knew it. And so the lady gives me the whole spiel. She had come in as a stray, and she goes, "Well, I'll just lead with this, that when we get strays in, we pump their stomachs so they don't accidentally throw up something that gets everybody else sick or something like that." And she said, when we did, she had cat remains in her stomach. So it's a disclosure I got to give you, so you know that this dog can, it shouldn't have her own cats. I said, "Huh." Well, that started turning the wheels. I had some family as houndsmen and things, and so that started turning the wheels a little bit, and I got the dog for a whole whopping $90, and and went home, and I couldn't get that thing off of me. I mean, it didn't matter who was in the room either for the longest time. And that thing rode around in the truck with me everywhere I went, did everything I was doing. And I had a little trap line at the time. So then I would take it down to the trap line and see how it behaves and whatever. And needless to say, it was obvious that this dog had survived on its own. She was pretty efficient when it come to getting all the game.
Yep.
So I started hunting her on coon a little bit, and she didn't know nothing. She was probably a 3-year-old at the time. She didn't know much or nothing, but neither did I. And so we did it the wrong way, backwards, upside down, and everything for the longest time, you know. And I ended up naming that dog Shadow, just because she was in my shadow at all times, you know. And yeah, I went many a nights with headlamps on, chasing coons around and all kinds of other things. And it just kind of trickled me into, and she never made a good lion dog or a good dog, period. She trailed silent. She was a cur mix of unknown origin. She's brindled, but I mean, just an absolute missile when she was younger, and game as they come, and of course that's what you need to itch a young guy's or scratch a young guy's itch. There is something gamey and something as excited as them. And so yeah, we did all manner of stuff. Shoot, I think she even caught a beaver once. You know, it was skunks. I don't know how many dozens of times that stupid dog was sprayed, but plenty of times. Sprayed enough times to get it on me plenty of times, you know. So, but yeah, that just kind of snowballed into getting into all kinds of different dogs and turning into a houndsman, you know. And my uncles, Josh and Jason Whitaker, they facilitated a lot of that. They gave me a lot of dogs that they were retiring or wouldn't fit in their stuff, you know, that helped me really get along, and then gifted me a few real nice dogs a couple times, and really helped me to get started. So yeah, that silly dog at the pound is
it's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, that's what absolutely sent me down the deep end to, you know, I don't know, what's 34 now, so however many years.
Yeah. So kind of, you've said you've gotten a lot of dogs since then, but what do you have now?
No, I got a whole mess of coals.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, I just had a litter of puppies, like all of us have, I think, at one point in time. But I've got a Kemp cross dog. I've got a Ney dog. I've got a leopard cur from Lamar Meeks there in Alabama.
Okay. I'm a leopard guy, so yeah.
Yeah, you probably know Lamar. So
I've met Lamar. Yep.
So I got one of them, and that's the litters, the Lamar and the Kemp. So there's no telling what these things will be. They're pretty as they can get, but there ain't no telling if they'll run backwards or forwards. I don't know yet. And then I've got 2 black dogs. They're just a mixed up. I did a DNA test one time. I always thought they were like some kind of, you know, black and tan crossed off thing or whatnot. No, they got more pot in them than they got anything else, but they're just a high tanned looking dog, just kind of a mudded dog. And then I've got, let's see, I'm trying to think of them all that aren't pets or retired now. Oh, and then I got a red dog out of Nevada too. That's been a real good dog to me. So yeah, I've had a few losses this last year and things. So yeah, we're a little skinnier than some, but the puppies are going to add up for it. So
I like somebody that's got a mixed up pack, and I always find that very interesting.
Oh yeah. Oh, at my house it's like Cosmopolitan ice cream. I mean, it is not. It is not. There's not a single color out there. There's not a single behavior out there, you know. And I don't know. They've all kind of filled different roles over the time, and they kind of adapt to each other, you know. And then you get one get long in the tooth, and he has to retire, or he dies, or cancer gets us, or whatever, and then the whole pack changes. You know, it's like holy cow, that strike dog's gone, and now everything's in a tizzy for a half a season, and then we start figuring out this whole new recipe, and yeah, it's interesting, and losing
For
them's
sure.
the worst part of this whole thing, but making them's pretty cool too.
It's just a different it's just a different mentality and a lot of different dynamics than what I'm used to. As an Eastern coon hunter, a lot of times you try to make dogs be able to do everything individually on their own. And so,
Right.
or even if you don't do, you might hunt a pair of dogs or maybe two or three, but you don't see people that typically hunt with packs unless you're, bear hunting, coyote hunting over here. But as far as coon
Hmm.
hunting, you don't really do that. And so it's not something I've ever really done a whole lot of is, like I said, I've bear hunted with enough people but even when I bear hunt, a lot of times you end up hunting with multiple groups of people. So you're
Yeah.
not running a single pack of dogs where I feel like Western guys, it's like you hunt your own pack and your pack and that's it. Where,
Oh, 100%. You're making teams,
yeah.
and that's the thing too. So I'm in southeastern Colorado, and our weather's wild.
Hmm.
Like this is one of the driest years I could ever remember, and most of what you were doing was hunting dry or dirt conditions or hard frost that melted off and it's 60 degrees by the end of the day, and so you're hunting these weird, wild, one-off conditions where in other places, like, yeah, you can have harsh conditions, but you just don't have as hard of varying conditions.
Hmm.
I think that's a big part of what makes it really difficult is just how different that single line track could be, just based on what outside's doing.
Yeah.
And here, there's a saying in Colorado: wait 5 minutes and the weather will change. I've seen like rain, snow, sleet, and hail in the same day, and ended in like a bluebird sky day. Like just
Yeah.
it's wild. It's crazy in here, and the winters. Usually we've got a fair bit amount of snow to hunt and things like that, but this year was a lot different.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, you're building these dogs. You're building out like teams of dogs, and sometimes you run with folks you run with commonly, or at least me. I run with folks I run with commonly, and we know, okay, well, our conditions are going to be terrible tomorrow, so we need to stack all the heavy hitters up and put all the rock stars in, and we'll run the pups again when we have a snow or something, or then,
Yep.
sometimes you want a few more dogs on something than you do. Other times you want maybe a few less dogs on something. And, it's kind of crazy in the dirt. I think it's a lot of guys have different opinions, but I like to have as many good dogs as I can possible just because it's so stinking hard and I'm no good at it. Um, yeah. So I like to throw as many of the wagon tail suckers as I can at it. But then, like a bobcat or something, well, you might really handpick a few dogs out and leave something in the box to just increase your odds.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, them curs, I've got a good friend of mine that hunts quite a few of those leopards from Lamar, and man, those things are good on bobcats out here.
Hmm.
He's done really well. He does better than I do.
Nice.
With the bobcats for sure, and those curs those are bobcat catching suckers now.
Good deal.
So, but
They're
yeah,
smart.
it's a
Just
lot
the
of
big of it.
yeah, and it's a lot of best of best, and there's a lot of thought process in it too. I know a lot of Eastern guys think we just throw pound mutts at pound mutts, and there's some bashing goes on. It's all good hearted, but I know people think that it's just this hair raised deal, but no, a lot of this breeding out here comes from guys spending hundreds and hundreds of hours behind a dog and knowing that that's what they want everything else to hunt like.
Yeah.
And then you're throwing that best dog to that best dog, and then all of a sudden you've got 9 breeds mixed into
Yeah.
into this line of dogs that you've all of a sudden created, and then you get these family lines that are exactly that. There's watered down stuff all over in them, and then you got guys that'll throw something like a cur or a plot or something back into some of these dogs, and then try and get a different trait out of it. There's a lot of that rather than just, going to a strictly line bred breed, running that having 12 of them, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really pretty hard to find over here. There is a handful of guys. I met a guy one time. He ran all black and tans and stuff. There's a handful of people who do that, but
Yeah.
yeah, most of the time we're just trying to we're trying to bet the best of the best in there, because you got to have that team. You need that strike dog. You need your jumped and running track dog. You need something that locates well. And then getting that out of one dog, in my experience, I've not had one.
Yeah.
I've had one that can do a lot of those traits, but getting one to consistently do that with lions and all these varying conditions out here and stuff, I've never had the luck of having one that could pull off all of those things well.
It's understandable. It's
I always had somebody. Oh yeah, I always had somebody that was maybe a little colder than him, but didn't run the jump track as fast, or really trailed real well, but just was terrible at locating and stuff like that. So it's like I always said I think there's like 5 or 6 traits really that you look for, and your best dog gets 5 of the 6.
Yeah.
You never got a 6 of 6, and I've seen a dog I thought was maybe a 6 of 6, but man, I think it's a rarity out here.
Oh, absolutely.
So
if somebody created the perfect hound, it might be the perfect hound for them, but then it's a one-off, and then trying to reproduce it, and then the next guy down the road, it's not the perfect hound to him, so he's going to reproduce. He's going to try and produce something different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen dogs that guys didn't really like much, and somebody else take them and run them and turn into a nice dog.
Yeah.
Really played its role well and was able to was able to shine. Like I had a dog that was given to me, and it was one of my uncle's dogs, and he just was not at the caliber of those other dogs. He just wasn't. They were really getting some stuff that was just real true rock star stuff, and he was just kind of a great dog, seeming dog, and he was real quiet. Well, and then with all my culls, he was able to really shine, and he turned into a really nice dog. He's an old man now, but he'll still go hunt as hard as any, and he turned into something that really just did well. But gosh, he didn't never know it because he was silent. He was with stuff that was outclassing him. He didn't seem like a really, he wasn't a bad dog by no stretch, but he just really wasn't nothing fancy. And for me now, oh man, he's become essential since I lost my strike dog a couple years ago. He's become essential to doing what I do, because the whole mentality, the whole pack mentality's changed, and man, he fell into full of role and really, really shined for me. So
awesome.
Yeah, it's different to everybody,
Yeah.
Well,
before we get too much further into this, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Justin Angovich. I am now treasurer of United Houndsmen of Colorado. I was president for the 127 fight. I just recently passed on leadership to Cody Lostro, who was my vice president through it all.
Okay.
But we're a hound advocacy group in Colorado, the only one doing anything. We lit a fire underneath our pants because of 127 and really tried to do something as quickly as possible.
Well, before we explain that too much, or talk too much about it, why don't you explain what 127 was?
Oh yeah, yeah. So 127 was a citizen's petition to ban hunting of mountain lions, bobcat, and lynx. Lynx were already federally protected, but the antis they try and get everything they can get. But it was to ban the hunting of mountain lion, bobcat, and lynx, and all methods of take. They left some exemptions in there for human health and safety and a few of those things, but really they just wanted to take our hunting away from us in the skinny as a citizen's petition. And so, they went around the state, gathered signatures, put it on a ballot, and then ran a huge smear campaign of misinformation and just it's just crazy political rhetoric. Which was really exacerbated in our case because we've got a governor who's wildly sympathetic to anti-hunting stuff.
Gotcha.
His husband's a super anti. He's a super anti. I mean, and then when you got something like a governor of a state like ours, that's a difficult person to go headlong against.
Oh
It
yeah.
just really is. They've got so much weight and pull and swing in so many directions that it was a really unique, really hard fought fight. And there was a lot of organizations that fought in it. The chief among them all, Blaine Sure, the work was done by CRWM. Dan Gates is the man that held the spear.
Oh yeah.
And everybody probably knows that name at this point. And yeah, without him, I think we would have been in a death sentence. But him, as well as the agency that he hired to help with all of it, was Pac West. With the aid of all of that, man, they really put together a good plan. A mountain of us worked to execute on that plan. We filled what little niche role that we could in the fight, and we had a significant impact. I think we did a lot of in-person stuff. We did an education campaign. We did a lot of things, and I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Now sitting here, exhausting, yes, it was. And talk about change your life in a flying hurry. Is just go ahead and drop everything and try and fight for what you love, and do it on your heels the whole time, man. It was tough. It really was, but
Mm-hmm.
we were successful. We beat the ballot. We beat the vote by 12 points, which is a significant amount in our state, especially for something like that. That's a significant amount for any bill, really. But yeah, it was wild. I don't think I slept the entire night before the vote came out.
Oh,
Maybe a 30-minute cat nap or something. Just sit there on the phone and hit the refresh button constantly. And of course, 127 was the last vote to be counted for everything. And so it's like, I don't know, 9 o'clock in the morning, every other vote was counted the evening before. It's right at the 11th hour when they had the chance to finally say, and yeah, it was determined that we were, successful in it. And man, talk about just a flood of emotion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just an overwhelming wave of relief and just a sigh.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
So,
Kind of how this podcast came about is we were talking about this the other day, though, and I know you kind of wanted to tell how you guys did it and how that fight actually played out and some of the things you guys did, because unfortunately, as houndsmen across this country, we're not done fighting, and we'll never be done fighting in the world we live in today. So we all need to kind of take lessons on what worked for you guys, so that way down the road somebody else might need those same tips and tactics to fight a different fight.
Yeah, and like I've told many people at this point now, I was never the right guy for the job. I was the guy at the table for the job. I was the only guy in the moment. So I am in no way an expert. But if there's only one thing that's good, that I am good at, it's surviving. And when all the bombs go off, it'd be nothing but the coyotes, cockroaches, and me sitting here. I'm a firm believer of that, because that's one thing I am good at is surviving. And so that's all I did, honestly. And the way that I did that was relationships, network, and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
As I didn't know the first thing about it. I had no idea what it meant to run an organization. I had no idea what this organization even really was. By the time I had somehow got myself navigated into a leadership position, I didn't know what we were going to do. I didn't know how we were going to do it, but we were going to just bang our head against the wall until we did. And that's what we did. We were on the back foot a lot. This was a hurry up go thing too for us. The organization had done maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a year annually, doing nothing but a very small trials event, more of just a social setting than anything really.
Yeah.
To going into trying being a full-fledged, education-based nonprofit to really get out there, spread the word, have conversations with people, and put something in front of them that was beneficial. And so one of the major things that we did what we called an education campaign. And we went around. You can find the videos and stuff on our website still.
Okay.
But we went around. We found some of the foremost experts that we could to get on camera and just have conversations about this stuff. Get the facts out there in front of people from real people.
Yeah.
And we worked with Blood Origins on that project. Mm-hmm. And that Robbie was great. Robbie facilitated us a bunch, and he's always been a big help to us. But we worked with Blood Origins on that deal, and we all told, I think by the end of it, it was 2.3 million targeted Colorado voters had seen those at some capacity on the internet.
That's awesome.
We had them down to 15-second clips, to 7, 12, 15-minute videos, to everything in between. We targeted every social media you could imagine: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the whole bit. Email campaigns, letter mail campaign, hard mail campaigns to specific voting areas that were obviously not going to vote our direction. And we just poured everything out. But leading up to that, to being able to do that, we had an outpouring of support from, well, I'll be honest, a lot of out of state.
Yeah.
The majority of our support, the majority of our help came from out of staters. A lot of the Colorado guys, I'll be honest, the Houndsmen, they were throwing in the towel, selling dogs and getting out of the game, saying there's never no way we could ever do this, and threw their hands up about the deal. And the same guys that did that are the same guys that never sent us a dime, but we've got, pennies sent to us from some old boy in Oklahoma, or I think we had donations from, I can't remember how many states. I used to remember it, but it was overwhelming. I mean, it was outstanding. And we ran a banquet, and the banquet did semi decent. And, we did a whole lot with a whole little. We raised, somewhere in the neighborhood of 140,000 in that year, and spent just about every dime of it. We absolutely poured the coals at it and did everything we could. We built the organization up as well. We got us some things that we needed, got a little more professional about it, got some resources that we needed, some merchandise, website, and trailer to tote around and things like that. We helped build the organization for the future, but we really did. We threw everything we had at the fire. And because if it was make or break for us, mm-hmm. November 5th was doomsday for us. So if we didn't surpass it, there was nothing to be done.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, we did. We poured a ton of money into that education campaign and just flooding that through the social medias. And I mean, we were doing it so much at one point, the social medias were almost like not letting you send them more money. They're like, okay, you gotta wait a little bit. You've already got so many campaigns you gotta wait. And it's like, why will you not take my money? I need all of this done now.
Yeah.
So, but all of that was the entire time in collusion with our network. There's a coalition in Colorado called CWCP. I can't ever remember how to exactly say the abbreviate or say the whole thing out loud, but essentially it's just a coalition of hunting organizations and conservation groups and stuff throughout the state that work together. And we have strategy meetings and stuff. Just I was so out of depth for it. I'm just a blue collar guy. I was not ready for all of that, but I just hung on and tried where I could. And man, we really did. We come alongside some folks and really made some impact. And mm-hmm. Yeah, it was anxiety inducing for me. I know some people had fun at it, but oh man, I was a nervous wreck the whole time. So,
oh, for sure. Rightfully so.
But yeah, that's kind of the short and skinny on 127.
Okay.
And anything I could give to anybody, is just network. East Coast is a little different than out here in the West. Houndsmen, we're the 1% of the 4%. We are very few and far between comparative to the population or comparative to the hunting population. And we needed friends, bigger pocketbooks and bigger brains and better ideas and everything. We could have done anything on our own. Yeah, we could have raised a little bit of money and threw it at the wall, but would we have had the impact that we had? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. I would have never, me, my team, the board, every houndsman in the state put all their brains together. We would have never been able to think up the strategy and do the things that we needed to do for all of that. And it made a big difference to have that network. We were blessed to have such a good network, and I had tons of conversations too with other houndsman organization leaders.
Yeah.
One person who got absolutely tired of hearing my phone calls, or was my buddy out of Utah. He just removed himself from position, or outlasted his term, I should say. Corey Huntsman. Okay. That guy was a huge benefit to me. It's just a check and balance, just a hey, no, just keep going. No, you're an idiot, or whatever it was. It was. Just to have something like that too, I was green as the grass that grows in the ditch, and so to have some of that help, somebody to pat you on the back and say, "Man, you're doing fantastic. You keep going, you'll be fine." And to have that network out there, that was huge. That was all the fuel in the tank, really. So yeah, it is tough. It is very difficult. It takes a lot of organization, a lot of brains, a lot of conversations and phone calls. Checking your emails more often than you'd ever like to, that type of thing. But it is doable. That's one thing. It is doable. I think it's doable all across this state or all across this country. So it just matters whether or not people got enough backbone to stand up and do it or not.
Yeah. Conkey's Outdoors is proud to be a sponsor of Tree Talking Time. Family, hunting, tradition is the Conkey's motto. They understand the importance of passing down the tradition of hound hunting. They are a family-owned business that treats you like family. They also understand the importance of having the gear you need when you need it. Conkey's carries everything for your next hunt, and it ships to your door quick. They also offer great warranties on all tracking systems and financing options. Check them out at conkeys.com. You can also use the code TreeTalkingTime5 in all caps to save as well.
What is United Houndsmen of Colorado doing differently now, today, moving forward with this in the rear view?
It's a ton. There's a lot of optics as what could be done, and I won't speak too much towards it since I've got better people ahead of me now at this point. But there's a lot of open doors for us. There's a lot that we do. There's an active thing going on with the commission right now. There's a fur ban petition going through our wildlife commission, and our wildlife commission is a completely botched, governor-elected group of antis for the most part, and so it's an uphill battle. But so we go to all of the commission meetings. We advocate for the houndsmen, and from the houndsman perspective on a lot of things. We follow alongside with trappers and predator callers and deer hunters and elk hunters and everybody else, and they're all our friends, and we're all working towards the same end, just good conservation. And so we've got all of the commission side stuff. There's legislative bills that come through that we go and represent for. A lot of times it's sitting there with a lobbyist and talking to a senator or a House rep and explaining your case, maybe submitting some amendments to a bill that's going to come through that might harm you, or just showing your opposition to something that's in the wrong direction. We've actually been somewhat productive at that level with aid of our network and things. And then, there's a lot of other things that we're doing. One of the things we've been doing, I think this year was the third one. There's a big college, Fort Collins, or CSU Fort Collins, big college in Yuppieville in our state pretty much. And we've gone there 3 times now and done guest lectures with Colorado Parks and Wildlife um, fur and carnivore biologist.
Okay.
And then as well with, of course, the professor there, her name is Dr. Sunshine Swetnam. She's absolutely wonderful. She's been hugely beneficial to us. It's in a class that's a ecotourism. I don't even know how to say the whole title of it, but essentially it's ecotourism's cause and effect with natural resources is what they study.
Okay.
And so we show them, what hunting does, what it brings in dollars wise for Colorado, and what it means for somebody to be able to go and hike, and why it's important that we manage these species, and do what we do in the way that we do, and how it impacts that side of the realm. And you would be shocked actually to see the openness in that room. I could put 60 hunters in the room and have a conversation with them, and more than half the room's going to check out and just be whatever about it. You know what I mean? But you put all these kids who come from all types of different backgrounds. There's kids that grew up gutting elk. There's kids in there that have never stepped off the concrete, and they are just so intrigued. They're so enthralled by it. They think it's the coolest thing in the world. They are shocked the fact that dogs can catch a mountain lion, and they live amongst them. Where this college is, there's mountain lions on their back door. And so some of the kids have seen mountain lions, have gone hiking outside the college and seen them, or whatever, had interactions with them. And so it's wildly engaging. It's crazy. The first time I did it, I thought, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
This is going to be a train wreck. Like, these kids are going to be, they're going to be so just, I was thinking city slicker, anti-hunter, blah, 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 blah. No, it was like, we were like rock stars in there. And it's funny is that the professor, she had taken a survey at the end of the year and asked the kids what their favorite guest lecture was. And I think she told me one year that, like, far and beyond, it was us. Like, we were the best guest lecture that she had. It's just a couple of good old boys, houndsmen out there who don't know really that much about nothing, and these kids were just enthralled with it. It was so cool. Like, our biologist, he's wildly educated. We're so fortunate to have him. One of the students there had asked, so what is your level of education? And see, he goes through his whole tenure, and it takes him a whole 7 minutes to read off everything. And then they asked one of the guys that was with me, John Alice, a good friend and our commission liaison, and they asked him, and he gives his spiel, and it's a longer list than mine. And then they asked me, and I said, well, I dropped out of high school as a junior. And that room roared. It was hilarious. They thought that was the funniest thing, because here we are, Q&A at a college, and this is a high school dropout dummy, sitting out there, and I just spilled their beans. I told them I graduated about 2 or 3 years later on the internet, and they all laughed again. Thought it was fantastic. And the professor's looking at me like, seriously, Justin, you didn't just tell them that. So, but no, it was great. I mean, it wasn't what you would think, and that's a big part of what we learned with UHC is it really wasn't what you always thought. Your instincts were not always dead accurate. We did one special event in a ski town in the middle of summer, and they had it's a bunch of breweries get together, and they bring all their favorite beers, and then there's a bunch of chili makers that just make chili, and you have a beer tasting and chili tasting competition.
Nice.
And we almost won their freaking competition with mountain lion chili.
That's awesome.
We made mountain lion meat green chili. And I mean, to see people's face, and I think there was like 600 or 800 people there, and we're shoveling out chili as fast as you can go. And I'm sitting there trying to interact with folks and whatnot, and I'm watching all these reactions. And they thought it was like, we had a big sign. They thought it was just like a brand, or a name of a restaurant or something like that. And some people would be like, is this really actually mountain lion meat? And you'd be like, yeah. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is so good. What are you kidding me? Like, this is, there were people come up second, third, fourths. And then I think out of that whole thing that day, there was only 3 people that, turned green or ran away or got upset. There was one lady, she was an she just went postal. and we thought for sure we were gonna get booted out of there. And she goes and gets the guy that's running the show, and he's got pink shorts that are only about 6 inches long, and fancy shoes and nose rings and earrings, and his voice is a little higher than most. And he came over and asked what was going on, what we were talking about, and said, yeah. And he says, okay. He turned it around and went with that lady and told her that she could go ahead and leave. And he turned around and came and got 2 cups. He's like, I have to try this.
That's
Never
awesome.
what you would think, like it's not. And that was the shocking part. And some people on our board, they're like, yeah, Justin, you're shocked again. And that was the rewarding part, was just seeing that, it's not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
If you get out there and you get into your community, your actual people living in your communities and stuff, they are, so much more copacetic with what you do than you would even ever imagine. And based on, kind of how the internet goes and how these antis frame stuff and whatnot, and I think that's pretty common through a lot of the stuff that goes on in the world right now. But yeah, that was a cool aspect, was just to see, like, oh yeah, we're not the big bad wolf. Sometimes we're the cool guys in the room, and people really enjoy hearing about it and are so intrigued. And it's fourths of mountain lion green chili, which it was very good. The folks that did it are on our board, and they did an outstanding job. I could have never cooked it that well. So,
well, I think a lot of it, like you said earlier, a lot of these people just don't know, and I think a lot of the smear campaign tried to paint, mountain lion hunting as this trophy sport that meat's not utilized, where most people, if you're utilizing meat, they're okay with hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so you by you doing that really showed that, hey, we utilize this. Here it is. People tried it. They're like, wow, that's actually really good. So yeah, why wouldn't you want to hunt this?
Oh yeah. And I'll tell you, in that crowd, there may have been 5 hunters in that crowd. I mean,
Yeah.
and 3 of us were sitting at the stand chanting out mountain lion green chili. You know what I mean? Like, this was not the crowd you would anticipate to be in. And yeah, it was exactly that. People were so optimistic to it. And then you had a couple that are like, holy cow, I just ate mountain lion green chili, like, that was cool. Never do that again, or walk off, and that's fine. It's a cat, But then you'd have people that were super intrigued with it, and you sit there and you have long form conversation with them, and you tell them, like, no, this is one of the most desirable wild game meats on the planet. And then I'd show them pictures. I had pictures of chops made out of lion meat and everything, and it looks just like a pork chop. And you cook them up and they look just like a pork chop. They don't taste that much different. They're maybe just a little chewier. They're not that much different, really. And you prep them and cook them right. They're wonderful. And my wife will eat them like they're going out of style, and that's saying something. So yeah, they're really good. But yeah, you show people this, and they were just in awe over the deal. And back to the trophy hunting aspect, that was a big part of our fight, was showing that it isn't trophy hunting. And, hounds are absolutely one of the most useful tools, because we have the option for selective harvest.
Yep.
I can get something bait up or treed and take a look at it and see if it's something I want to harvest. If I'm in an area I don't want to harvest a female in that area, I'm not going to harvest that. Mm-hmm. If I've got an old yellow in the tooth male sitting up there and he's beat up, scarred up, and he's led his life, well, then that's a line we can look at harvesting. And then on the flip side of it, if you're in a situation where you're struggling, you got some bad depredation in an area and things like that, and you catch a 2-year-old female, and that's the line that's causing your depredation issue, then you can harvest that line selectively and do the right thing, and really pay attention to it and really do good management, and that's what it boils down to, managing the species appropriately and doing it the right way that serves all of us. And I'd tell anybody this, and houndsmen all know this, we want more lions on the landscape than anyone else.
Absolutely.
And when you told a group of people that weren't lion hunters that, they were like, well, why? Well, I want to run more of them.
Yeah.
I want to catch more of them. I want to make more young dogs. I want to have more adventures. I want to, it's like, you want more fish in your pond or not? And we've had some pretty heated debates over during the 127 campaign with some folks, and that's one thing I'd say. If you're fishing, you want more fish in your pond or not? You want more mature, nice fish in your pond. You want the higher availability to actually catch something, or no. And that's what it really boiled down to. And so when people started to wrap their heads around, and even like in our wildlife commission, once they started to wrap their heads around, like, hey, this houndsmen they're in it for the conservation side of it. They aren't bloodthirsty, murdering psychopaths. They are here. They are passionate. They are the most passionate people in the room about this, even if the antis go up there and squalled and screamed and gave them their pronouns or something, it didn't matter, because we'd get up there and say something from the heart, and they'd see it, and we've had multiple people in different capacities pull aside and say, hey, it's really honorable, the passion that you guys go about this. Like, this room's better for you being in it. And that's just because we care that much more, and I've told people, you spend enough time with them and hunt them hard enough and get your butt kicked enough and everything else. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's coons, if it's bears, if it's bobcat, if it's lion, if it's coyotes, it doesn't matter. You get your butt handed to you enough times, you start to develop a respect for them that's different. Ask any coyote trapper if he respects a coyote or not. And you can promise you he's had enough frustrating days that he's learned to respect their intelligence and appreciate what it takes to actually do it, and no different with hound hunting. So, yeah, it was, I don't know. It was a fun ride. I'll tell you that much. It was. So, yeah, moving forward though, it's, a lot of doors are open. There's a lot of things that are potentials for us. I think the guys in leadership now are going to grow an organization better than I ever could have. I was just good at surviving the moment. Mm-hmm. These guys that are in position now, they're gonna actually make an organization. Yeah. Put some more structure behind it. Put some more discipline and ethics and things like that in place, and really try and move to making an impact, more than even what we did with 127. And that's what Colorado needs. That's what a lot of the West needs. It's what a lot of the East needs. I think everybody needs that. So, but yeah, these fellas that are going to be taking position there, or that are taking position now, are definitely going to be the right tool for the job. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, I got a question for you from your aspect, outside looking in. What did you see during the 127 fight? What did you see? What was the headlines? What was the outlook seeming like for you?
Well, being a houndsman, like, obviously everywhere you turned, you saw things about it. A lot of outside organizations, give a lot of props to Chris Powell on Houndsman XP, and he leads a lot of informative campaigns about negative legislation. What is it? Howl for Wildlife or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They send the email blast out. It makes it stupid easy to, send emails out, and I think that's super helpful. Especially people are busy, and if it's not something that's super meaningful to them, getting them to go out of their way to send that email or to write a letter is hard. And so by making it easy increases your chances of somebody helping you out. And so I think, having those email campaigns where it's like, here you go, all, the couple clicks of a button throw your email in here, and voila, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
And you send,
Yeah.
you know, a list of emails the same. I mean, it's the same form email. I get it, but to a whole bunch of different people. So, not that those legislators are actually reading it. It's just a matter of, oh, here's another one in the yay, or here's another one in the nay, column. And
Mm-hmm.
they're not really taking a true tally. It's more of a, what do we have? A lot of people in favor, or a lot of people against it. So,
right. Yeah. No, those tools have been wildly useful, and just getting the information out like Chris did. Chris was a big help to us too.
Absolutely.
And he tried. He really did. He put effort forward, and and he'd come out to the state I don't know how many times and things like that. And yeah, it was vital to have those aspects for sure.
And then I think I don't really know the back end of Blood Origin's Lionheart film, what that was slated to be before all of this, or if it just was stupid coincidental that it,
Well, I can give you I could spill all the tea on that for you. Blood Origin started as an Instagram message between me and Robbie about 4 years before 127.
Okay.
Yeah, I reached out to Robbie one time. He had some stuff on Instagram, and I thought, this guy's awesome. Nobody's done a mountain lion documentary. Like, I'm going to reach out to this guy.
Yeah.
And so I did. And it started as Instagram messages, and then it was phone calls, and then it was a few emails, and then he, I helped him with scouting some of the guys for it and things, and he got some on his own, and he got a team together, but there was a lot of conversations really early about what Lionheart needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
The story that needed to be told, what we wanted to show. It wasn't a hunting show. It wasn't the story that needed to be told. And I'll tell you what, I work in construction for years now. I've worked in all this stuff with network and UHC and hundreds of people. I have never seen somebody stick to their word the way that Robbie did. From the beginning of that conversation to the end of that production to live, that Lionheart was exactly what we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we talked about. It was exactly the vision, and it was everything. And yeah, I had no clue when I messaged Robbie originally. And he had even said when we talked earlier, he's like, man, I've been thinking about doing this, and this might just be what, the straw that breaks the camel's back here. And yeah, that was clear before my involvement with UHC or anything. I was barely a houndsman. I mean, I was pretty heavily a houndsman at that point, I guess. But no, it was just an idea, and we both scratched that itch for long enough, and he said, all right, we're going to figure it out. And he got funding for the thing, and with the help of others, and put it all together. And man, did it ever land in a good time? Was it ever beneficial? I've flooded that thing all over the place. Yeah.
I kind of figured it had to be somewhat coincidental. Like I know some of the production stuff that goes into doing something like that, and so I'm like, there's no way that they did this in response.
Right, they did not pull this off this year. Yeah, no, that takes a lot of man hours and a lot of work, and
oh yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome.
But I wasn't sure if maybe there had been some rumbling, I don't know, beforehand, like that's what kind of stirred it, or what, what the precursor was for that. But just a simple Instagram message, hey, we should do this.
So
be cool.
You might be onto something there. I've never really thought of it in this context, but the year that I think it was the same year that I reached out to Robbie and we started talking about it. Colorado tried to pose an anti-bobcat hunting bill in the legislation, and it got shut down right away. I mean, it didn't take it past the first step.
Okay.
That might have been the first year. That might have been the year that I'll have to pull some receipts. Now I'm intrigued. It wasn't my thought. When I talked to him, I just thought he was great. I loved his voice, of course. He's South African accent. You can't really beat that. And so we struck up somewhat of a friendship, and I really respect and honor the guy. He's done absolutely amazing work for conservation up to this point. But yeah, it all was really it was just a young houndsman that wanted to see somebody do a mountain lion documentary, and I didn't want to be in it. I wasn't one of the guys to showcase, I just wanted somebody to do it for us and to have something like that. And yeah, it came out awesome. And it's still to this day, I have one of the original copies that Robbie sent me. He might be mad at me if I tell him this, but I have it still downloaded on my computer. I've held on. Like it doesn't. I don't even think it has credits on the front end or the back end. It's just straight to the goodies it was a cool deal, man, and what a wonderful production. What a great way to showcase that and to tell that story. And yeah, it was beneficial to us for sure. It came out just shortly before the vote, and we flooded that thing everywhere. It was all over YouTube. We carefully made that land in plenty of email boxes, and it did. I had a client at the time I was working for, and she lived way up in the mountains. She was really pretty opposed to lion hunting. She had some bad run-ins with some guys, and she just really didn't like it. She liked me. She kept me working. She didn't judge me about it. She just didn't like the idea of it, and I had talked to her a bit about it, and she was kind of one of them that was maybe a little too smart for me to argue with. And I thought, well, I'm going to show her Lionheart. And I did. I took her my laptop, sat my laptop on her island in her kitchen. I had some work to do at the house. I said, this thing's, 45 minutes long or so. If you'd like to watch it, I'd love for you to. And she says, no, I'd love to do that. So she got a cup of coffee, sat there. She'd come back with the laptop, said, I'll never look at it again the same. She said, they said all the things that you didn't know how to say. I said, yep, sure did, didn't they? And she goes, I don't know. And then after the vote went, I had been back to the house again, and she told me, she said, I wanted to let you know I voted no on that bill. And I was shocked. I was like, holy cow. Like, yeah, it's one vote, whatever. But that vote was significant to me. It was cool to see something like Lionheart impact somebody that was pretty well rooted in their belief, and it had some bad interaction and it had some bad and lived in it, and that woman hears Dogs Trail every single year where she lives. And yeah, she changed her vote, and I was happy for it. I was excited about it. So, yeah,
that's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, I hope I've been somewhat informative. I'm not.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed this, and we're definitely going to stay in touch because I think this has been very important and very informative to everybody. And I definitely want to know more about your pack moving forward. You see leopard dogs. I like following people.
Yeah, send me an address. I'll put one in the mail for you. I might have a few to get rid of here. So
I don't need any.
That's what everybody says. They're like, man, why don't you go ahead and make them into something, and then we'll think about it. Yeah, of course.
I've got enough here at the house. I don't have any open kennels.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course.
So.
And keep in touch, keep in contact, and we'll do some more stuff in the future. And
sounds great. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Tree Talking Media. And until next time, keep them talking in the timber.